Hello there, adventurers, and welcome to Wally DM. Today our adventuring party is in a dungeon room, and we're going to roll for initiative because there are some shadows in here. Our wizard goes first, and he casts a spell, and as soon as he casts that spell, he hears a loud scream, and he's blasted for 12 points of thunder damage. Today we're going to take a look at a trap that you can find in 2C Gaming's Trap Compendium. This one's called Quite an Entrance. Just a reminder, if you have not joined our Discord yet, I highly encourage you to do so. Come on over and hang out with me and folks that know a lot about D&D. And if you like the content on this channel, please hit that subscribe button and pick up my brand new puzzle book, Wally DM's Journal of Puzzle Encounters, available now on DriveThruRPG. So this is going to be my interpretation of Quite an Entrance from the Trap Compendium. Now this is designed to be a combat trap, so we're going to set it up that way. As the characters are going to enter this room here, I'm going to allow them to make a perception check. Now feel free to set your own DCs, but on a fairly low DC, they're going to see 6 formations, and we're going to put those in these locations here. And if they get a really high perception check, they're going to see what looks like faces protruding from the wall. So these are stone walls, and it looks like this face is trying to come out of the brick and the stone. Now, also included in that perception roll is going to be the possibility of seeing a shadow. In fact, probably a couple of shadows. Now, a shadow is an undead creature from the monster manual and is very good at hiding in the darkness. And of course, this is the perfect place for these shadows because this area is entirely dark, and we have some pillars that are holding up the ceiling that also provide extra concealment. Now, whether we figure out if the characters or the shadows are surprised or no surprise at all, that is when we're going to roll for initiative. Now, before we demonstrate how I would run this trap, let's see how it's written in the Trap Compendium. The description of this trap goes as follows. As soon as someone swings their fist or their blade or casts the wrong spell, this trap goes off. A thunderous scream alerts everyone nearby to what has happened, and the scream itself batters and assails the triggering creature with thunder damage. So this is actually going to be a magical trap as opposed to a mechanical trap that rogues would seek out and find. So in order to detect this trap, I'm going to set an Arcana Intelligence check to DC 18. Now, the way I envision this trap working is that once a character, let's say we have a fighter right here, so number 1 is our fighter, runs up on this shadow and swings his blade. As soon as he does that, then the trap triggers from this section here, which would be the closest, and at a +6 to attack, the DM would roll, and if the attack is successful, then what happens here is this face or this head lets out this scream, and 2d6 thunder damage is done to this fighter. Now, since I have this broken out into 6 different sections, I'm actually feeling like these are 6 different traps. So let's say our wizard is right here. Our wizard will be number 2, and he decides to cast Dispel Magic on this section of the trap. I would allow a success on a DC 15, and if it is successful, then this portion of the trap has been disabled. Now, of course, our party members can just be very quiet. They could roll a stealth roll to get out of here, or they could take their time to dispel each of these magical traps. But let's not forget that we've already rolled for initiative, and we have shadows that are lurking about. Now, one of the reasons that I picked the shadow was because I feel that they can make attacks and movement without setting off the traps. So as the characters are swinging their blade and their weapons are flying, or they're casting an incantation that requires a verbal component, let's say this wizard casts a firebolt at this shadow, then those are all instances per the book that are going to set the trap off. So to quickly summarize, we have 6 sections of this trap. We're in combat with shadows, and every time a melee attack or a spell with a verbal component is cast by the party members, they are going to feel the wrath of one of these screams that are coming from the wall, and that is an attack roll by the DM at a +6, and if they're hit by the scream, then they're going to take 2d6 of thunder damage. Now what this trap also does is it acts as an alarm, so if there are more creatures over in this area of the dungeon over here, these screams can be heard up to 120 feet, so perhaps a zombie horde or ghouls or other undead or NPCs are off in this section. They're going to be alerted to the character's presence, and they'll either come rushing in to help or perhaps set up another trap in this area, knowing that someone is exploring the dungeon. So this is the Quite an Entrance trap. This is a magical trap for levels 5 through 8, and a successful DC 18 Arcana check will allow a character to find the trap. This can be disabled with a DC 15 using their spellcasting ability and Dispel Magic. The trigger for this trap is the party making a melee attack or casting a spell with a verbal component. There are no saving throws allowed for this, as we are rolling an attack roll for each trap as it is triggered. The effects of this trap is either those that are hit take 2d6 of thunder damage, and or we have an alarm that wakes creatures within 120 feet. Location: this would be a great trap to run in a dungeon, a temple, or a lair, any place that's nice and dark with undead and shadows. So that is Quite an Entrance, and again, you can find that in 2C Gaming's Trap Compendium. I'll put a link to the PDF in the description below. Now this could possibly be one of our most deadliest traps. Not only are we rolling for initiative to go into combat with shadows, but we've also got to contend with a trap that triggers every time we swing a sword or cast a spell. So with that being said, what did you think of the trap? Is this something that you could use in your game? And if so, what would you do differently? In particular, would you have the trap trigger every time an attack is made with a weapon or a spell is cast? Or would you maybe have it be one side or the other? Maybe it only affects spellcasters, or it only affects those that are melee combat. Be really interested to see what you're going to do with this, so please leave a comment below. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We've got all kinds of great stuff coming soon. Thank you very much for watching, and on to the next.